गुड मॉर्निंग इंडिया एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉर्ट. गना शॉर्ट में आप सबका स्वागत है. Today morning we'll see how tables have turned against Russia by Ukraine and there's black rain in Moscow. And to discuss all this with me is Mr. Shreya. Shreya ji, good morning and welcome back.
Good morning, India, sir, and always a pleasure to be back in Bharat. And viewers, good morning to all of you. We have some significant developments, and if time permits, we may be actually talking about a second topic also. We'll see how this thing goes. We're going to play it by the ear. General Shankar, you have, as always, a very compelling PowerPoint deck. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Well, this is something very interesting, which is, Mr. Zelensky has put out. He says last night our long-range sanctions once again reached Moscow. And he's put a whole tweet out as to how they've hit Moscow twice. And they've hit oil refineries there, and there is black rain in Moscow. Actually. Right? And that is the interesting thing which has happened. And this is what BBC has reported yesterday evening. Listen to it. See how things are turning in this Ukraine war. And just as we thought that this war in Iran is ending and you're looking at peace deal and this deal and that deal, this is catching fire. And there's an angle to this which I am sure at the end of this we'll get Mr. Shriyar on with his views. Life is very interesting. But let's listen to BBC.
This isn't the first time that Ukrainian drones have targeted the Moscow area, but the scale of this particular attack does seem to be pretty big compared to what we've seen before. So officially, the Moscow mayor is saying that more than 190 Ukrainian drones were shot down by Russian air defenses en route to the Russian capital. There has been damage. Now, I don't know whether that damage has been caused by drones which have been shot down or whether by drones that got through air defenses. But as you mentioned, Moscow's oil refinery has reportedly been hit. This was the second time in 3 days. And there are reports of large clouds of thick black smoke rising above that part of the city. That's the southeast of Moscow. Now, Russian officials have admitted in recent days that Ukrainian drone attacks, these long-range attacks, have been causing problems for Russia. A lot of pain, a lot of damage. But when you listen to Vladimir Putin, the things he says, the speeches he makes, he seems to believe still that in this war of attrition, Russia will win. And that despite the current problems, and these attacks are causing a lot of problems for Russia and the Russian economy, Russian officials believe that they eventually will win this war.
They'll eventually win this war. Just if you heard what he said, Russia has shot down 194 drones, and yet Moscow has had a lot of damage. And the report which is coming, you look at Zelensky's tweets, everything. This attack has been done with 1,000 drones plus, give or take a few, right? And the damage to Moscow has been through the direct drone hits and intercepted drones also. It's not easy. Just you intercept a drone, it will still come on ground and burst somewhere. Then it's a loose cannon wherever it goes. And this is the second attack in 3 days. It's not simple. Whoever thought that, say, 1 year back, that this is a state of affairs where Moscow is completely on the back foot. And I couldn't have dreamt it. I'm being very serious about it. I thought 1 year back, Ukraine had gone, right? And all of a sudden, things have changed. And could you add your views on this and your other thing which we were discussing offline before this? Over to you, Shreya.
Thank you so much, Jalal Shankar. Viewers, a lot of stuff happening in the background. Even as the war in Iran is winding down, we are also, sir, we don't have to.
No, there's nothing.
That's fine.
There's a picture.
Yeah.
People should understand what we are talking of. This is one picture.
Yes,
I thought it was dramatic. Just look at the visage where Moscow is just burning and see the kind of black smoke over Moscow.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
viewers, it is believed that Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff were also there in the G7 summit. And we all know that Zelensky was there, and there was a meeting between Zelensky and Trump. We don't know the details of that, but here is what is playing out. This is widely believed on social media, and just treat it that way, because unless something substantive comes out of it, this is what is going on. Right now, Russia is losing. It doesn't matter if they pinpoint their hypersonics and take out some critical things in Ukraine. Already, Ukraine's basic infrastructure for internet is shot. They are completely using Starlink to do much of the stuff. And I think they are also using some innovative methods. Like, for example, they have figured out a way to launch a drone without having to have any communications to guide the drone. How, you ask? They seem to have miles and miles of fiber optic cable. And so the drone flies with a cable at the end, and that cable goes back to the guy who's managing the drone on the ground. I mean, the very innovative methods that Ukraine is using to counter the Russian threat. Not only that, it is believed that Witkoff and Jared Kushner are trying to hammer a deal with Russia, wherein this is what they are asking for now. You say that United States needs its hands on the 20+% of rare earth elements in Ukraine. And they want Russia to basically cede that territory, because some of it is in the Donetsk and Lugansk region. In the Donetsk and Luhansk region, they have in a place called Shevchenko Field of Lithium. They have a lot of lithium ores, and this has been complicated because of the ongoing conflict. So, United States is we are open to giving you area somewhere else, but wherever there is rare earth, like for example, outside the conflict region, Zhytomyr region and Cherkasy region, they have a lot of significant reserves of rare earth materials. And the eastern Azov region also, they have many rare earth deposits like zirconium, lanthanum, cesium, and neodymium. Neodymium is very, very important because of its magnetic qualities. So this is where the thing is headed now. US is saying, look, we are now basically, how do I say this? Our letter starts with the letter, the word starts with the letter T and ends with the letter S, is being held and squeezed by China as far as rare earths are concerned. We just need this. You talk to us with a way that both of you have an honorable settlement and life can proceed. This is where things stand. It is believed that there may be something like a surprise announcement that might come up in the next few days. Sir, back to you.
Yeah, thank you. So a lot of things are happening, but let's see how the war is panning out, right? Let's see. That's the more important thing for me. Like I said, I showed you earlier, Moscow residents are today complaining of rain after the largest refinery has been hit. Look at this clip. Look at this clip. Look at this clip of Moscow. It's a pan. See the chaos which is there. It's very serious. Moscow is burning like never before. Okay, look at this clip. It's a dramatic clip which is now viral on everywhere. And closely look at the one where there's a oil refinery cap which is just blown off. Okay, have a look at this. Look at that. Look at that cap blown off on the top.
Yes, yes.
All right. That's the kind that depots out. This is the second time it has happened. Okay, and so things are bad. What has Russia said? Russia's reply, Lavrov was asked yesterday, what are you going to do? He says, we're going to keep hitting Ukraine on a regular basis. It's the most insipid reply I ever heard by anyone giving. Why? Very simple. You have to understand. Russia hammered Ukraine for 3 years. There's nothing left in Ukraine to fire except keep bombing Kyiv all over again. But Russian targets are now being hit. And I've covered this. It's not as if this is a new thing. I've been talking of it. But yesterday it's been a dramatic hit. It's dramatic. It's a war of attrition, as the BBC commentator said. And this is how new war is going to be fought and is being fought. And there are a lot of lessons about this for us. And I'll touch upon it as we go along. Right? And okay, it's not only Moscow which has been hit, but the supply line of the Russian troops is also being cut off and hit. Their route to Crimea and through the Kerch Peninsula, that's also being hit. We don't know how successful or not it will be, but they are under attack. We'll see how it goes. Okay. The refineries which have been hit in the past 1 week, just 1 week, are these 5. Volgograd, Ryazan, Nizhny Novgorod, Moscow, Kryvyi. This is the intensity of the Ukrainian drone attacks and missile attacks on Russia. No reply. Yeah, Putin will fire an Orsnik, all this. But does it cause damage? And Putin dare not cross the nuclear threshold. You see, when we talk, I mean, now let me veer away from this war. And yesterday we were talking, or I did mention yesterday evening about in the Iran war. The question is, will Russia and China help Iran? The question I'm going to ask after this is, can Russia help Iran? It can't. Can China help Iran? No. And I'll tell you a fundamental thing, and we'll talk of it maybe tomorrow, day after, whatever. And I'll ask Mr. Shreyar to weigh in on this. You know, the bond market is a very important market in any nation, right? The bond yields in China, there are 3 types of bond yields which normally in financial markets are given. I'm not a financial expert. I'm only recounting what has come out in the news. The bond yields are of 30-year yields, 10-year bonds, and 2-year bonds. Generally, I believe in the thing it is these categories. And the bond yields reflect the strength of your economy fundamentally. Right? The Japanese bond yields, 30-year, 10-year, and 2-year bond yields were low. But something has been happening over the past 2 years. I'm not talking 1 year, 2 years. First, the 30-year bond yields in China. The 30-year bonds yields of the 30-year bonds given out by China, their yields went below Japan in 24. Not now, 24, 2 years back. The 10-year bond yields dipped below the Japanese levels last year. This year, the 2-year bond yields have also gone below Japan. So what's happening is Japanification of China. And the bond yields I'm led to understand, or what I could understand, is that they go down only when your economy is weak and it is deflating. And these are market prices. It's not my imagination. And I'll come with figures on this. I'll come with graphs on this a couple of days later, because I'm still trying to piece together things. Am I saying the right thing, Shreya? Because you are more clued up on markets. Over to you.
Yes, indeed. We've been talking about it on PGurus also. And Japan has actually increased its, their interest rates had actually gone negative. In other words, you had to pay money to the bank to keep your money in the bank. And this had been going on for a while. That changed. And that changed about a year or year and a half ago, when the prime minister change also happened. And suddenly what happened was a lot of money used to be borrowed in Japan, and it would come into Mexico, and from Mexico it will travel into United States and find its way to the US stock markets. I've talked about this for a long time. Now Japan said, no, we're going to raise our bond yields. And once that started happening, it's called carry trade. Carry trade stopped. And you saw, I think there was a correction for about 5 to 8% in the Dow index about a year ago. You guys can go back and look at this. This has been going on. And again, the rise has started. So what that means is a lot of money which was being used to be borrowed in Japan and then taken it back and invested in US, it's going the reverse way. Plus, a very strong mandate to the current Prime Minister means that Japan is back on the ascendancy. Plus, Japan is committing to putting a lot of money into arming itself. So all these things are beginning to take an effect on China, because money that used to go to China is now finding its way to Japan also. Money is very, it doesn't care about communism or capitalism. It just says, where is the best yield for me? And that's what is happening.
Yeah.
And
so
India also will have a little bit of effect on this. Let's wait and see, because India will be forced to increase the yields on its bond so that it can match what is happening in the trend. Sir, back to you.
Yeah, no, I am with you. The point why I got into this discussion, I forced you into this discussion, is people need to understand, when you come to a channel like Ganashot or PGurus, we are not talking of one subject, we are talking of a trend line. And that trend line establishes a lot of things.
Right.
I'm talking of the Ukraine Moscow war, Ukraine Russia war, and I've taken this whole discussion now to China and the effect of China and this thing on Iran. So when we tomorrow talk of Iran, which we will, and how this peace process goes and all, don't forget this video which we are doing. Don't forget this, what we are trying to tie up, because I have purposefully brought this today's video in, right? So that the connect between what's happening in Ukraine and this is clear. What he talked about, that Donbass minerals and all, that's also happening. So there are a lot of things happening in the world besides Iran, which has connectivity, and that has implications ultimately on India that we'll discuss separately. Okay, if China is going down, it's good news for India, isn't it? And it
Yes.
also tells me in the longer run that India is coming out trumps in the Iran war. I'm substantiating today with many other things. Okay, this is how a spider's web weaves itself. So I'll get back to this war, and please understand the extent of where this is going. Okay, now look at this lady, what she says. Very interesting.
Weapons for the Ukrainians, but remember that 90% or 95% of Ukraine's weapons are now either made in Europe or made in Ukraine. So the Ukrainians now make most of their own drones. They make, it was something like 4 million last year, and it's 7 million this year, maybe more. So they are becoming more and more self-sufficient.
So she's talking of a country like Ukraine making 7 million drones a year. And where are we? Where is India? And he's talking a country which has got no income, which is hit badly, which has been in war, and it has made this. And that is why you see the difference been happening. I get back to my original story, which I've started and which I'll discuss with General Arimohan. DRAM, drones, rockets, artillery, and missiles. You don't have these four, you're out of the equation today. And I think my guess is that planners in India have not woken up to this. It's not the military planners. It's the political planners who have to wake up to this. I think they're sleeping. I'm flagging this, right? Because I see it.
Weapons.
Okay. And this is what Mr. Zelensky spoke yesterday. And heed what he says. How it is this thing. Yeah.
Russian ballistic missiles remain a problem, and we need an answer to that problem. So today, Ukraine and Germany are taking very important, I think, important joint step. We have some technologies, Germany has some technologies, and today our defense ministers signed already an agreement to bring these capabilities together. In Ukraine, we have a company that is capable of producing ballistic missiles. Firepoint is moving toward this. And you have the capable companies as well. We have discussed this many times at the leaders level. There will be
So fundamentally what he's saying, he says, I'm not happy with just drones, I'm going to have ballistic missiles. And there is a Germany and Ukraine thing which is coming up to make ballistic missiles. What are we doing? We are a ballistic missile power. We have all technologies, everything. There are 2-3 things which comes out of this whole story which is happening in Ukraine and Moscow or Russia. You need to develop the DRAM part of it. Ukraine has got the drone technologies. We have the ballistic missile technologies. Germany needs that. Ukraine needs that. Is there a case for triangulation? There is a case. Why? People will say, oh, you're leaving Russia. I couldn't care a damn about Russia. And the reason is simple. The ship engines, virtually the best ship engines, are made in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Most of our ships are equipped with Ukrainian engines. Is there a case for us to go and link with Ukraine? There is a case. That is why if you saw in the G7, Mr. Zelensky and Mr. Modi were doing a handshake and a back pat with each other. It's not as if India doesn't know. Ukraine has technology. And today, Ukraine will be prepared to give us this technology through Germany, because Germany and Ukraine have to rearm themselves. Right? Because NATO is getting out of the equation. And is this an opportunity for us as we get into a trade deal with Germany and EU larger thing? I think it's important. And unfortunately, are we thinking that way? That's the question which I'm posing to most. And I would like everyone to take this thinking forward to everyone, others, so that people understand what we are talking. Your views, and I'll take it further.
Viewers, there is a lot that is being discussed in today's thing. See, what happened was, some of these things India doesn't know because we didn't really get exposed. USSR was breaking up, and one of the first countries to break away from USSR was Ukraine. And Ukraine, they were like a trailblazer in many of these things. Others were still kind of beginning to leave USSR. And what they had at that point of time, physical, geographical boundary of Ukraine, they had a lot of nuclear missiles. They had a lot of nuke bombs. They had everything that Russia had. So Russia and I guess to some extent America, they were a little concerned about having this new upstart republic having all this stuff. And the country has to grow into a democracy. Even today, it's a kind of a funny democracy. So what the United States persuaded Ukraine was they persuaded Ukraine to give up their complete nuclear arsenal. And they said that we are going to give this thing for safekeeping in Russia. And in exchange, Russia will never invade you. Never, ever invade you. You can write it down in any way you want. But is that what happened? No. But at that time, Ukraine was desperately looking for a lot of money because this is a new country. How are you going to sustain yourself, right? Everything was coming from the Ural oil. A small piece would come to Ukraine too. So what they did was they were practically giving away their technology for a song. This is in the early 90s. India was going through this one coalition, second coalition, third coalition. And unfortunately, during that time, China took up a lot of the stuff from Ukraine. And part of the reason why China is such a behemoth technologically is because of what it got for pittances. Like for peanuts, they got all this technology from Ukraine. If India had done the same thing at that point of time, India also would have been a big technological powerhouse today. But it's not too late. It's never too late. Today, India needs to start engaging with Ukraine on a war footing to get access to some of this technology so that India also becomes strong. Because you have China already done something. So if you want to leapfrog and catch up with China, you need to go to the source of China's technology, and that is Ukraine. That's what General Shankar is saying. Back to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So let's get ahead with what's happening. You know what happened and what happening and what you get. I'm now zooming out of this equation. Whatever has happened in Moscow. This happened last week, about 10 days back. This is dramatic. You see this? There's a drone coming in. Okay, over a lake. It's not a lake, it's sea. And there's someone firing at that anti-aircraft defenses. Doesn't hit, it dives in. And there it goes, boom. And where is this? Where has this happened? This has happened in Leningrad or St. Petersburg. How far is St. Petersburg from Ukraine border? Please check. It's over 1,000 kilometers. This happened last week. So just think, in the past 1 week, I showed you a map where 5 places have been hit. Before that, St. Petersburg was hit. Virtually every big city in Russia has been hit in the past 1 month. There's a dramatic reversal of fortunes in the past 1 month. Okay, they've hit the Kronstadt base, the naval base. They've hit Russia as warships in the base. Right? This is another picture of that. And they've hit the logistic highways going into Donbass, Ukraine. Okay, they've hit the all the railroads going in this area, logistics. Okay, and they've hit all these refineries which I'm showing on the map from here to here. This was earlier. What has happened in the past 1 month is huge. This is Volgograd, just to give you an idea. This entire area of Krasnodar is where their Black Sea terminals are to send oil out. That's why Russia is not able to give out oil anywhere, gasoline anywhere. It's not one. Okay, what have they done? What has Ukraine done in the past 1 month, 2 months? They've hit refineries, they've hit storage facilities, sanctioned blocks, shadow fleet, tankers at sea, pipelines, Baltic Sea, which is on the north. You know, this is, you were talking of this area. This is Baltic Sea. Okay, and Black Sea export hubs. What is this sanctioned blocks? Very interesting. You know, every place there are a lot of machinery, oil machinery, and all that. But most of this machinery is not made in China. It's made in the West. China doesn't have this capability for oil industry. They might have this thing. It is now that has been sanctioned by USA on Russia. So Russia can't buy this machinery or these parts from the West. And the Ukrainian know that. And they're hitting those parts. Those parts, if they're down, they can't be replaced. And Russia stands crippled today. Their oil. That's the thing, level at which this is going on. Okay. Which are the ones which have been hit? There are refineries. This Ryazan and Saratov refinery has been hit 15 to 16 times. These are all other refineries which have hit 12 to 13 times. Sirzan has been hit 12 times. Multiple, it is not. So virtually these refineries are out of the equation. What is the next thing? Russia is losing approximately $100 million a day in revenue. Which country can sustain itself by losing $100 million revenue per day? I don't know how much Russia will carry on with. Right? Then their export hubs need $5 billion in repair and rebuilding or whatever, and then don't have the money. Russia doesn't have the money today. Russia doesn't have the capability to rebuild because the sanctioned parts they can't buy also. They can't buy it even if they have the money. Okay, 30% of the country's gasoline and 25% of the diesel output has been hit. As a result, there are shortages within Russia. And Russia has continued to ban its gasoline export till 31st July. Anyway, they had put it last month itself. Russia is today bleeding. we have to understand why this whole story is important. So you see this sustained hit on Russia, and as the sustained hit is going on Russia, Russia is being spoken to by US, come to an agreement. And Volodymyr Zelensky, every day he's tweeting out on what he's doing. And he's asking Russia to come to terms. Right? What the terms will be now, we are very clear that they have to vacate a lot of part of that occupied territory. And USA is putting pressure on them because critical minerals are involved. And on one hand, this is happening in Russia. On the other hand, the bond play is going on in China, on which we'll discuss separately. So this is the story, why this whole thing is happening, how it's happening, and where it is going, and all this is why. Again, you have to remember, tie all these in with when you say victory and loss in where? Iran. If you see Iran through a microscope, everyone will say America has lost. But if you view it through this mirror, things are different. Your views, sir.
Russia had its upper hand, I think, about a year ago, I think before the summer of last year. They had pretty much everything locked down under control, and Ukraine was really desperate. This is always, hindsight is 2020, and if they had that said, okay, we are going to stand still. Like, for example, the first few days of Trump, winning the election, like last November, even that is 2024 November. That was a time because it was frozen. There couldn't be much activity. They had actually taken that one place, Kirov or something, that these guys, Ukraine had gone into Russia. And they had captured one nuclear plant, or at least they thought they had captured the nuclear plant. And then Russia sent in people through the oil pipeline, and captured part of that back. That was a point when Russia was really controlling the whole thing, and they had many Ukrainian soldiers encircled. Maybe if they had said, okay, we're going to keep our land and then just declare victory, that would have been a good one. But somehow they didn't do that, and now Ukraine is really, really upon the ascendancy. So these are all like technological mismatches. Like, for example, we say, right, how did the Mughals attack us? It was horses versus elephants. And latter day Mughals had even muskets and bayonets and cannons and all that stuff. Again, the same thing. So back to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I had another thing to talk of. Do you think we should take it on? We should go to Bangladesh, or should we continue or discuss a lot of questions which have come up?
Let's take the questions now and go for that. We'll do Bangladesh another day. It's not urgent.
Okay. Yeah, no problems. Ram Kumar, thanks for joining as a YouTube member. India needs to support EU defense. There have been a lot of more technology to give to India. I completely agree with you. So I think you need a relook at the way we do things. Your view?
Absolutely. In fact, yesterday morning, Dr. Kumar Swamy came on our channel about why is the economy slowing down in India, and he gave one simple example: land acquisition for a new project, and he gave some numbers. Less than 24 hours in places like Vietnam, less than 24 hours. And 7 days or less in China, and India 2 years. You see the big gulf. So these things need to come down drastically, and that's one of the problems. I'm not saying that's the only problem, but that's one of the problems. And when people compare such things, then suddenly flight of capital takes place, because they say, okay, I need some low-cost manufacturing operation, but it might not be in India. That's the challenge, sir.
Yeah. Okay. The political leadership doesn't have the guts and thought process regarding these decisions, sir. Unlike China took an aircraft carrier from Ukraine in 90s. Yeah, your view. This is what you actually mentioned.
This is what I mentioned. You're right, Harsha. That's not just the only thing. There were many such technologies. Ukraine was really desperate. It was on its knees. See, the thing is, USSR still, the Russians still felt like, this is the first guy. This is a domino effect. When Ukraine separated and said, okay, we're going to have a democracy, that's all being done with back end by United States. Yes. But Russia felt that, these guys were the ones who started it all. That big mother Russia, USSR, Soviet republics and all that stuff. 80% was Russia. That was the engine that was running the whole thing. So that's when Ukraine was at its lowest point. And somehow look, the socialist mindset exists even today. I'm telling you, viewers, even today, many of us, like for example, many of us look to the government, say the government should do it. Why? Why should the government do it? Why don't you have a good idea? Why don't you see if you can crowdsource it? We have to have that mindset that I will find the money for what my idea is. Back to you, sir.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I also go with what Harshvardhan says about political leadership. It's not the fact that, let me put it this way. To be fair to the political leadership, it's not that they don't have guts or the thought process. They have both. What they don't have is knowledge.
Yeah.
What they don't have is knowledge. And they are being backed by an ignorant bureaucracy who doesn't want, and the socialist mindset. This also ties to something else. It doesn't matter, you might say BJP is a right-wing party. I don't think it's a right-wing party. Let me explain. People have to understand this. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking sociology. Okay? You have to understand. India is a country where no party can afford to be right of the center. We're still a poor country. Let's accept the fact. You might have a huge, GDP, all that. It's got no value to the guy who's hungry on the streets. Right? You still have to be left of the center. You still have to have social justice coming into the system. Whichever way, you inject social justice. If you think, just think, Mrs. Jayalalitha giving TVs to people is different from Mr. Modi giving cylinders to people, gas cylinders, right? The item might be different. The optics of that item might be different. But at the end of the day, what are they both doing? They're doing social justice. Okay, it is not as if America didn't do it. It is not as if France didn't do it. Every country, whether you call it left of center, right of center, or a rightist government, a leftist government, or a capitalist government, or a non-capitalist government, still does it. You go to USA, children are still given midday meals, part of the school curriculum. Part of the school curriculum. Okay, so it is not as if Mr. MGR introduced midday meals and that's how Tamil Nadu has progressed. So you have any country has to have a socialist outlook, whether you like it or not. The problem in India is this is very high, but at the same time there are times when you have to get out of that socialist outlook, get into a capitalistic outlook, get into a techno-capitalistic outlook. Technology has to drive that outlook, and you have to, on a case-to-case basis, you have to break out. That is a trap in which all our politicians are now caught. I see it happening with my Prime Minister also. He talks of technology, this, that, everything. But he's caught in that trap, which is called India. It is not his thing. It is not, I'm not pointing finger at any one given man. It's our overall thing. So I leave it at that, but just think, I've borrowed a little bit of philosophy in this whole story, but that's the truth.
Yes, indeed. Next question, please, sir.
Yeah. I think Ukraine war at this point is a stalemate as long as Europe keeps supporting Ukraine. Your view?
See, Europe has a bigger problem. The problem for Europe is that it has been, spending money without having the basis. For example, the euro itself is a huge disaster. When the euro was planned, they said that euro has a certain mechanism by which individual countries like France, Greek, all these things, they came up with an exchange rate. They said that, okay, if this is the exchange rate, and if you do some of these things, then you will qualify to be able to get onto the euro bandwagon. The one thing they painfully or without knowingly, again, it's the same thing, how much the politicians knew, they did not consolidate the debt of what the euro was supposed to cover. Then what ended up happening was that each country started using the euro, but they were not declaring how much debt they had. Germany had very little debt, even though they had absorbed East Germany, whereas other countries, Greece, Italy, for example, huge debts. So there is a fundamental mismatch in this whole euro mechanism, and plus the EU and all that. So what has happened is very soon they will not be able to even pay pensions. So that was the prime reason why Ukraine became the battleground, and they wanted to go to war, so that once war happens across Europe and Russia was identified as the enemy, then they would say, look, we are at war now, we can't pay you your pensions. So hit the reset button. This is still the plan. And if I expand this a little bit more, the illegal immigrants that have been brought in, what this NATO thinks, without US of course, is that, okay, we will train them on carrying arms and we will fight them. We'll put them, they will fight the war for us. That's not going to happen, I can tell you. They will turn their guns on you first before they turn their guns on Russia. This is where the huge miscalculations happen. So that miscalculation is making the stress even worse. So that's why, they are continuing to invest in this and thinking that somehow let's pull off some victory. And US is kind of weighing the pros and cons here. We'll see how this plays out, sir.
Okay. Ukraine launched 527 drones. 8 got through, massive damage. How is India's anti-drone systems? Can we handle a barrage of drones launched at us? No, we can't. Let me be very honest with you. Our anti-drone system worked very well during Op Sindoor. But that was because it was oriented, our army was deployed there, air force was deployed there, and all our systems were deployed there. But does it apply to the rest of India at this point of time? No. That is why the Sudarshan Chakra is in the making. Has it come to some level? Yes, certain things have happened. For example, your anti-ballistic missile capability got demonstrated. We've fired about 10 days back 2 anti-ballistic missiles which can give you a shield exothermically and endothermically. I mean, endo-atmosphere and exo-atmosphere. Right? That capability is being developed. But what about drones? Right? I mean, yesterday only I discussed with a class intern in Tamil. That podcast will be out in a couple of days. What happens if Chennai airport tomorrow gets hit by a drone attack? Or the refinery in Chennai gets hit, or a shipyard in Chennai gets hit. We have a shipyard in Chennai, Kattupalli. You have a huge port. I'm just giving a thing. We don't have any defense today in India. We don't have. And do we need to develop in depth? We need to. Can't you see what's happening in Russia? Tomorrow it might happen to us. Do we depend only on the government to provide all this? Or can you do something on your own? Or can you do anything on your own with the better center-state relations and a better grading system, a better thing? You need a different outlook. Do we have that in India today? Well, I hope Sudarshan Chakra gets you that. But today, this is a problem. But the good part of the story is, there's another part of the story. Pakistan doesn't have the capability to come with so many drones. Neither does China at this point of time. Okay. So we have time. We have a window in which we have to work hard. Okay. General, you speak very good Hindi. I think there are others also who like your Hindi. Thanks a lot. But, I wonder if, Shri Iyer ji and we can start talking in Hindi one of these days in the morning.
Good morning, we should, sir. We should. Let's try it. Yeah. Why not?
Let's
Absolutely,
try it.
yes.
We can talk, something like Shubh Aram or Shubh Namaskar, something like that we can think of in Hindi. ऐसी कोई दिक्कत नहीं, हम बात कर सकते हैं हिंदी में सुबेरे सुबेरे. सुबह सवेरे used to be a very popular, what shall I say, show in Hindi. Long back, I used to watch it during Kargil days. I don't mind starting it. Instead of Good Morning India, I will say Subha Savere and we'll start. Okay. But I don't think Ukraine can occupy land back. Of course, they can give great damage to Russia. I agree with you. There are limitations. This war is a stalemate.
Yeah. It's a US interest. That's what's going to define this.
It is. This war is a stalemate territorially. No one's going to win or lose on this. It's only going to be a swing of things. Okay. As larger Russia has been bled by smaller Ukraine using drone technology, how can India avoid suffering similar fate from Pakistan? Our cold start relies upon, forget about cold starts and all that, right? And Pakistan, like I said earlier in the last, Pakistan doesn't have the capability as it. They don't have the capability. I don't think they'll come up to it. And we have this capability to defend our front line. Let's put it this way. We proven it in Op Sindoor. There's nothing for us to go this thing. We had our Akash Tir, we had our gun systems, and our counter drone systems are coming. Right? By the time the next war happens, we'll be up to it. I'm very confident of it. Okay, don't worry. But what I'm not confident of is the hinterland. The hinterland is the thing. Okay, that is what we have to concentrate on. But I'm sure people will get there. Okay. There are two comments by this chap, Taneet, who I don't know who he is. Anyway, it has become a rhetoric comparison. Whatever happens in any corner of the world, add to Shreyarji. Why always belittle India's capability? China this, China that. You should know better than this. This is a thing on me or you. I don't know, but it's okay. This is a one-sided view. Fail to understand when it comes to Russia. General analysis comes out of spite rather than facts on ground. And do note every story has two sides, not one. Your view, sir.
There will be always people like this.
I'm going to justify this issue, but I took it purposefully. Your view.
Sir, don't take it seriously. We are doing a good job. I know that.
I'm not taking it seriously. I'm not offended by what this gentleman or whoever has said this. Please understand, if you see my videos of the earlier time, I said Ukraine is finished. In fact, I was very critical of Ukraine. I was very critical of EU. I was very critical of USA. And I thought Russia was doing a tremendous job earlier. And I've written articles about it. And I've discussed this in many webinars, that we should copy the way Russia is doing things. But I'm now talking I'm now dissecting and analyzing this battle with the same ideology or the same thought process, with a difference in technology. Technology has changed. Russia has maxed out. Please see in any campaign what has happened. It is not as if Russia I'm talking one-sided. Sorry, I'm not one-sided. Okay? The facts on the ground speak for themselves. I'm not, right? You heard what? You saw what's happening. Today, Russia is boxed itself into a position from where it is not able to do anything about Ukraine. It's not able to do. Whether you like it or not, it's not one-sided. It is one-sided because Russia is in that position. You heard what that Ukraine guy said. You heard what the Russian foreign minister said. What has Russia done? Russia in the first 2-3 years destroyed everything in Ukraine, which could be destroyed. They captured half of Ukraine. What next? Why are they not able to close the war out? Their inability to close the war out is now hitting them. The fact that Russia is not, able to export oil or oil products, and it is their thing. So these are facts. So whoever it is, this is no one-sided thing, right? It is no way, and this is no rhetoric. There's no rhetoric in this. We are not saying China this, China that. We are saying China is in a bad shape. That's what I'm talking of. Their bond yields. I think, I think people who come and comment here, you guys are commenting many times. I see these comments, these one-sided comments coming up due to lack of knowledge and ideological firm, kind of a thinking that this what I think is only right. That I'm not prepared to change my mind. I've changed my mind in this war. I've been changing my mind regularly and talking for USA against USA, for Iran against Iran, and the other wars also. Why? It is not that I'm switching sides. Analysis demands that you look at the thing 360 degrees. I'm not saying Ukraine is going to capture Russia, out of question. No country can capture Russia. Okay? That Napoleon understood and Hitler understood, and the Pope chaps both are up there. They tried to capture Russia and died. But you can bleed Russia. That's what is happening. Your views, and then we'll close it.
No, you are absolutely true, sir. You're absolutely right. Viewers, this is what we also do at PGurus. We present all 360 degrees, and sometimes our forecasts go wrong. I was pro-Ukraine, and then I said, well, Ukraine isn't really going to do anything. They're going to be losing. We have had experts come and talk to you about this, and now Ukraine is fighting back very successfully, I might add. So that's what the ground situation tells us. So next question, sir. We are good.
Supporting EU over Russia is risky. Russia is trusted TOT partner. EU had comments on Kashmir after Pak pressurized them, and now they're gonna chair water disagreements between Pak and India. Dekho yaar, Christina Aurora, we have a trade deal with EU. Yesterday, day before, Mr. Modi met with Mrs. von der Leyen and Albert Costa, and we are getting closer to EU. Mr. Modi goes and does Jappi Pappi with Mr. Macron, and you're signing a deal for Rafales with them, and they are prepared to give you TOT. Right? And you had a long history of defense partnership with Russia or with France. You also have a long defense partnership with Germany through submarines, HDW onwards, from then to now. Tomorrow, your P-75I program will not go anywhere if Germany is not there to give you technology. Please understand what I'm talking. Why do you think our Prime Minister went to 4 countries, those Nordic countries, last month? He went to Sweden, he went to Norway, all these places we discussed it. What for? Technology. You took Swedish technology in Bofors and fought the Kargil war and won the Kargil war with their technology. You didn't use Russian technology in Kargil. So don't go with the thing that Russia is doing everything good for you. Russia is quite transactional. It will come to you, and if you go back into our history, Russia started rushing towards us, right? Russia started rushing towards us during the Ukraine war, and sanctions came on, and they had to sell the oil. And they sell the oil to India. Without selling oil to India, they wouldn't have lasted out. Please understand, we are dependent on Russia. Fine, I have no problem. Russia is our good friend, very good. But also, please understand, let me put it, Russia is not a TOT partner. We have not got one TOT from Russia. We have not operationalized. They have given you license to manufacture. That's it. That's not TOT. They have ensured that you are still dependent on them. These are facts. Huh? As much as I like Russia for many things, we should not, as Indians, as a expert. I will not say expert also, as someone who's gone through the whole thing. I need to explain to you, Russia is our friend to a point. Beyond that, we are our own friends. The same applies for EU. The same applies for France. The same applies for USA. The same applies for Japan. I will look at my interests. If my interests are today lie in multi-alignment, so be it. Let's not close our eyes and become blinkered towards Russia. Russia has a cash and carry philosophy today. And they have not been able to deliver. You can give an order to Russia today, they don't deliver. We all crib about US not delivering G414 engines or whatever the engines are. How much have we cribbed about the fact that Russia has not delivered us S-400 system? Yet, we have paid for everything. So don't put blinkers on and talk here and give comments. Right? I just thought I'll put this, your view, and then we'll close it.
Absolutely. Russia is in a bit of a major pickle right now. They need to have a honorable exit with some kind of a W under their belt, and that's where I think things are headed. So wait for a few days. You are going to find that also. I think Trump wants a grand July 4th, 250th year that US is going to do. I got this war ended and all, and so on and so forth. So things are happening in overdrive right now. So viewers, please come back. We appreciate your comment, but make them more like with facts. Rebut with facts. Don't rebut without facts. Don't get emotion into these questions. It makes for a much better conversation when we see your facts. Then we can say yes or no or whatever. So thank you so much, sir.
We need logic. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Shriyarji, for sparing your time, and thanks a lot for everyone who's attended. Have a great day, and Jai Hind to all of you, and Namaskar.
Namaskar.